The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stock Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue, all new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's my area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying on the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stop Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue. All new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's my area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and...
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning to you on this Tuesday, May 28th. So good to have you joining us for another Morning Barbados presentation. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until 8 o'clock this morning. It's a rainy day in Barbados, so you know how we do. As long as there's a little bit of rain, we break out the sweaters and all that kind of stuff, long sleeves and all. That's how we do it, because we call this weather cold. I know people in other parts of the world are saying, come on, this isn't cold, but certainly in our terms, it's a little cooler than we're accustomed to. So as you head out today, be very careful. I'm always feeling a little bad for pedestrians at this time, particularly when I'm traveling along the Map Hill area. No sidewalks. You know, the water's rushing at the side of the street. They have to kind of step into the roads. And still there are some drivers who go a little too quickly, you know, splash them up. So don't be that inconsiderate driver today. I'm asking you to just be mindful that the pedestrians have to get out and use the roads as well. So remember to connect with us online as well. We love to hear from you. Now, I met some people over the weekend. I just want to say hello to them quickly, because both of them said, well, shout me out once you get on air. So I want to, one of them in Eddie's in Spikestown. She said, I didn't know you're a North person. Apparently I am. So a big good morning to Sherry Skeet. It was good to see you. And thanks for watching Morning Barbados. You know, wonderful to have you in company. To you and everybody in the north of the island. All right, coming up on today's show, we're going to have Tara Durant in. She's going to be telling us a little bit about a panel discussion that's coming up on the fundamental human and workers' rights of the LGBTQ community. That's coming up tomorrow at the NUPW headquarters. There's much to talk about, and I know people have very strong opinions about it. So the Public Relations Officer of C2SAB, Tara Durant, she's going to be in to, you know, engage with us on that very, very interesting and relevant topic. So make sure you get in there. Remember, we always encourage you to share your questions or comments via our email address, morningbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. If you have any questions or if you'd like to share your opinion, and we absolutely would share it. You can also share it under the YouTube stream or on Facebook, and we usually pull them as well. We're also going to do a flashback to where we have the Barbados Firefighters Network here with us, Whitfield Harris, Jason Collis. They were in and they were talking about their charity work, but while they were here, they took the time to give us some tips and reminders on what we can do to avoid fires. And we feel with all that's going on in the environment, it's the right time to kind of share that with you again, so that that's top of mind with us. So many fires going on, particularly house fires. So we want to make sure that you are prepared and doing the right thing. Poetry has been growing in a big way, and not just poetry, as in the written thing, but the presentation, the actual show, is called Poetry, spelled with TREE at the end. So we're going to have Michael Warrior Bond, a spoken word artist and award-winning poet. He's also going to be in with us, and he's an author too. He performed at Poetry, a celebration of spoken word, earlier this month, and he's going to perform coming up later this week, and we're going to check in with him to see a little bit more about what he does, because he doesn't only do poetry, he does motivational speaking and a whole host of other things. So it should be very, very interesting to have a conversation with him about how his poetry is changing the world, motivating people, and continuing to build lives and relationships. And of course, it's cricket season, so we want to make sure that you are on top of things. So we have a cricket show coming your way every day that there's going to be a cricket match. You are going to be in the know. Anmar Goodrich Boyce is the host of Final Over, and he is a broadcast reporter here at the CBC with the sports department, and he's going to be here to tell us all about the show and what you can expect, how you can get involved, and so on. We went down to Kensington Oval yesterday as we prepare for the Prime Minister's big discussion with the Barbadian public that's scheduled to come off tomorrow. So there will be a town hall at Kensington Oval. It will start at 1:30 with Kensington Oval opening the gates, literally, for members of the public to do a walkthrough. So if you want to see all the changes that have been made at Kensington Oval, tomorrow is your day to go down and see it. And I'll tell you that it's quite surprising. Later in the show, I'm going to share some of the photos and a little video that I took. I'm going to have to ask the crew in the back to not play the audio because I was with the rest of the CBC crew. And just like my shirt, the language can be a little colorful. So no audio, but definitely I'll show you some of the video that I took when we went down to Kensington Oval yesterday. And of course, as we continue to share more about Crop Over, we have some new releases to share with you as well. So it's a great show planned for you today. I'm hoping that you're able to stick around. That's if you're on holiday or you have a little bit of time, but if you have to run off, we understand. So we are online. And then, of course, you can go back and watch on demand, whatever suits you, as long as you stay with the CBC crew. But we always get started on Tuesday mornings in one way with conversations on CARICOM. Today is no different. The ambassador has left us. He is over in St. Lucia, but he's joining us remotely to share a little bit about what he's doing at present. He's in St. Lucia, I believe, to present his credentials to be appointed Barbados non-resident High Commissioner in St. Lucia. So congratulations, Ambassador. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Tisha. Thank you. Yes, I'm here. I'm here in a hotel room in St. Lucia.
All right, so talk to us a little bit about what this will mean, first of all, for Barbados to have a non-resident High Commissioner in St. Lucia. What difference will it make to our relationship across countries?
Well, first of all, let me give Barbadians a little reminder. So I am Barbados' ambassador to CARICOM and to the Association of Caribbean States. But in addition to that, I'm expected to be Barbados' non-resident High Commissioner to most of the CARICOM countries. The only two that we would leave out, only three really, Montserrat, which is not independent, Haiti, and Suriname. But the other 11 member states, I'm expected to be the non-resident High Commissioner. So I've already been appointed as High Commissioner to several of the others, in Kitts, Jamaica, Belize, Bahamas, and the Grenadines, Guyana. And now I'm to accomplish that. Tomorrow, I will present my letter of credence, which is a document put together, signed by our president, and I will present that to the Governor General of St. installing me as Barbados' High Commissioner. Basically, that would position me to do two things. One, to work for Barbados to work more closely with St. Lucia on our CARICOM agenda. You know, within CARICOM, St. Lucia has lead responsibility for sustainable development and also for our work on climate change and climate finance. Barbados, on the other hand, we have lead responsibility for the CARICOM single market and economy and for reparations. So it provides an opportunity for us to work more collaboratively on the CARICOM agenda, but it also sets up a situation where we can put in place a bilateral cooperation program between Barbados and St. Lucia. So the first thing on my agenda after being appointed will be to sit down with my St. Lucian counterparts and work out a bilateral cooperation agreement between Barbados and St. Lucia.
All right, that's excellent. And it's great to know that we are able to kind of ink these initiatives, so to speak, so that we can see the progress that is happening with you kind of being at the forefront of all that's happening with what's going on among the various Caribbean states. I know that over the last few days, you've also been checking in on the Council for Foreign and Community Relations, or COFCOR. That meeting was held in Dominica last week. If you can give us an update.
Yes, I spent last week in Dominica. Our delegation to that meeting was led by Director General of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Donna Ford, and it was a very productive and, dare I say, pleasurable meeting as well in beautiful Dominica. Hadn't been to Dominica for quite a long time. I would say the main item of the agenda was Haiti. As you would know, the multinational security support mission led by the Kenyan police officers and supported by security personnel, in the first instance from Jamaica, Bahamas, Belize, is soon, very, very soon, going into Haiti. So we got a report from Ambassador Colin Granderson of CARICOM, who is CARICOM's Haiti man. He is working very closely with our eminent persons group. That is the group of three former prime ministers who have done a lot of work to bring the Haitians together to form this temporary transitional national unity administration. And so he was able to give the foreign ministers a report on the most recent developments. And yes, there's not much we can share in terms of the details of the operation, because those are very confidential. But we came away from the engagement satisfied that things are going in the right direction. One of Barbados' interventions in the discussion was to say to all of our member states that all of us need to make a contribution at this time. Some member states are going to be contributing personnel to the security mission, and incidentally, Barbados has also undertaken to contribute personnel, but because we are hosting the workshop cricket. That contribution will have to come at a later time in the year. But all member states will be committed to making a contribution, whether it is humanitarian aid, food supplies, medical supplies, because it's very important that we play a big role in putting this new presidential transitional council in place. It's very important that we help that council to be as effective as possible. And one of the ways of being effective is overseeing programs that are bringing relief, humanitarian aid, humanitarian relief to the masses of the Haitian people. We also have some ideas about how that eminent persons group can be further expanded and developed and can become an ongoing mechanism for generating and mobilizing developmental resources for Haiti going forward. Because we should be very, very aware, Haiti is going to need a lot of rebuilding. Even the very concept of what a government is, how the government is there to serve the people and to bring about the development of the people, we are going to have to keep all the CARICOM member states. We are going to have to play a role in helping Haiti to rebuild institutions and to rebuild that ethos of governance. So basically, the tenor of our discussion was that CARICOM has to be in it for the long term. We have to walk this journey in the Haitian people. So that I would say would be number one. Another important one was Cuba, because like Haiti, Cuba is facing specific challenges emanating from the actions of the United States government. The fact that the United States has had this blockade on Cuba now for 50 years, and also the Trump administration placed Cuba on this U.S. list of countries that support state terrorism, and that has brought a whole host of difficulties and challenges to Cuba. So Barbados being very cognizant of this and building upon something that happened about 2 weeks ago, the U.S. removed Cuba from another list that they have, a list of countries that are not fully cooperating in the fight against terrorism. The U.S. removed Cuba from that list, but still has Cuba on the list of state sponsors of terrorism, a major contradiction. So we introduced a resolution to the foreign ministers meeting, and after amendments, the foreign ministers did issue a statement on Cuba on behalf of, in relation to Cuba.
Okay, Ambassador.
Perhaps I can just...
Okay, we want to take a break here and come back and continue the discussion on all that has happened at COFCOR. So a break here, but when we come back, we continue this discussion and update of everything that transpired at the COFCOR conference last week in Dominica. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308, and don't miss a single six, wicket, or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. tune into ESPN on MCTV. And for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 to 1 Soccer Stock Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 28 minutes to 7 o'clock on Morning Barbados, all across Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, not only here on Morning Barbados. We are connecting with Ambassador David Comichon, and he's bringing us up to speed on the meeting of the Council for Foreign and Community Relations, or COFCOR. And before we went to break, he was talking about the major issues they focused on, starting with what's happening in Haiti. And we were in the process of talking about a paper that was presented on Cuba. So welcome back, Ambassador. If we can continue talking about the concerns that the grouping had about Haiti, about Cuba rather, being on this terrorist watch list, and what the group is planning to do to work toward trying to get Cuba off of the list.
Yes, Tisha. Well, the group, the foreign ministers issued a statement pointing out that it is totally unsatisfactory for the U.S. to move from the list of countries that are not cooperating against terrorism. So you admit that Cuba is cooperating in the fight against terrorism, but yet you retain Cuba on a list of state sponsors of terrorism. So we pointed out that contradiction and issued a call once again to the U.S. government to do the right thing and to remove Cuba from that list. The foreign ministers also referred to the 63-year-old embargo, which, year after year, the United Nations tells the U.S. that this embargo is illegal and should be removed. And once again, appeal to them to do the right thing and remove the embargo. So there's not much we can do other than to appeal to the conscience and good sense of the U.S. administration. And we do have some hope, because the removal of Cuba from the list of countries that are not cooperating against terrorism is a positive sign. And we can only hope that that is a sign of further development to come. So yes, it's important. Cuba is important for us in CARICOM. We have a very special relationship with Cuba. All of our member states have embassies in Cuba, and likewise, Cuba has embassies in all of our member states. And we know that Cuba is suffering terribly because of this embargo and this placement on the state sponsors of terrorism list. Another big thing we did feature, and this again was something introduced by Barbados, was that we said that CARICOM needs to be more intentional about getting a seat on the United Nations Security Council. The United Nations Security Council has 15 seats. 5 of them are permanent seats, the big 5, the US, the UK, France, etc. But then there are 10 non-permanent seats that are divided among the different regions of the world. So our region, Latin America and the Caribbean, is allocated 2 of those non-permanent seats. But what tends to happen is that those seats are monopolized by the Latin American countries as opposed to our Caribbean countries. In fact, only 4 Caribbean countries have ever sat on the UN Security Council. That's Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So 10 CARICOM countries have never sat on the UN Security Council. And Barbados has said to CARICOM, it's not good enough. We should have an ambition to have a presence on the UN Security Council so that our voice can be heard on these major international security matters. And that what we need to do is not just allow an individual member state to do its own campaign to get onto the Security Council. Because you have to do a campaign, you have to get votes. Why don't we as a collective develop a campaign where we will determine which member state will go forward, which year, but we will do a collective CARICOM campaign to support that member state, to help that member state to get on, and then once that member state is on, it will act as a representative of CARICOM. And that will also help us to have a coalition, a bloc within the Security Council with the 3 African member states. So we will have the African 3 plus CARICOM as a 4-member bloc within the Security Council. So that is based on the table, and we are going to be dealing with that in detail at the next Foreign Ministers meeting. So these are some of the major items. We also dealt with associate membership applications to CARICOM. Countries wish to become associate members. We had an engagement with the Foreign Minister of Qatar. Qatar is very interested in deeper relations with our countries. Barbados was able to brief foreign ministers on Barbados taking over chairmanship of the V20, the group of vulnerable states, some of the poorest and most vulnerable countries in the world. Barbados has just assumed chairmanship of that group. Plus, we looked at the Phase 4 conference that is right now taking place in Antigua, and we looked at the Summit of the Future, which is going to be held at the United Nations in September, and is something that our young people need to know about, the Summit of the Future. So these are some of some of the issues, Teacher. I leave it up to you to determine which one you may wish to explore a little bit more.
I think that we can absolutely go into the issue of what's happening at the level of the UN Security Council and talk a bit about what that can mean for us here in the region, particularly because we pride ourselves as a region of peace, but more specifically because of what might be happening with our neighbors in Haiti and Cuba, and what having a seat at the table with the council will mean in real terms to being able to be heard and get things done for the region.
Well, what it would mean is that peace and security issues that perhaps don't get the attention that they deserve, we will have a voice. And what I stress is that we have during the tenure of St. Vincent the Grenadines on the Security Council, St. Vincent pioneered the establishment of the Africa 3 plus CARICOM bloc within the Security Council. So St. Vincent as a CARICOM country collaborated with the 3 African members. Africa is allocated 3 of the non-permanent. So that block of 4 countries was able, for example, I'll give you one example, they were able to put the issue of Haiti firmly on the UN Security Council agenda, and the A3 plus 1 were able to have a special, back in 2021, what they call an area formula meeting on Haiti, when the UN Security Council made Haiti a priority, and many different actors were called into the Security Council to discuss the situation in Haiti. So if Vincent was not there and collaborating with the Africa 3, that spotlight on Haiti would not have taken place. So this is why it is important that we have a seat so that we could identify what we think are priority matters for the Security Council. So, for example, the issue in the Congo, I mean, there's war has been going on in the Congo now for decades. The UN Security Council does not pay enough attention to that. Several conflicts. So that is what it would be. We also, not only would we be able to identify issues that we think are priority for us, but on all major international security issues, we would be able to bring the perspective of the Caribbean. We would be able to get among the big powers and say to them that we don't want any Cold War, we don't want any of these useless and unconstructive conflicts and confrontations. We want not just the Caribbean to be a zone of peace, but we want the world to be a zone of peace. So we would at least have a seat at the table, and we would have a voice to truly promote peace and the peaceful settlement of disputes. And we would bring that small country perspective.
All right. I want to thank you, Ambassador. Wish you the very best. I know that you're quite busy as you continue to travel across the region and really share all that we wanted to share for a number of years, but weren't able to because there wasn't that, to my mind, direct focus on linking the Caribbean in this way. So thanks for your update. We look forward to seeing you back in Barbados next Tuesday. That's a directive.
Yes, it's so much better when we're there in person. We can communicate better. And maybe next Tuesday, we can see Barbados youth relation. You know, St. Lucia is one of our closest CARICOM neighbors, and there's so much that we can share together, and it'll be good for us to discuss some of those possibilities that no doubt, as a result of what I do this, we will be working on.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ambassador. All right. Well,
My
it's time
pleasure,
for us
thanks.
to take another break here on Morning Barbados. When we come back, we will be speaking with Tara Durant of C2SAB. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Yeah, bro. Hey.
There is a saying you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 14 minutes to go before 7 o'clock, a rainy day here in Barbados, and we don't mind. We are happy for the little break from the heat. It's very hot these days, so that's okay. Ode to those who know it, sweater weather in Bajan terms. Yeah, I mean, it really isn't, because by 12 o'clock I'm going to be stewing. But hey, why not? All right, so we have to say a special good morning and welcome to a very special lady. She's bringing some color to the set this morning. Always good to see you, Tara Durant, Public Relations Officer with the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, C2SAB.
Mouthful, isn't it?
Mouthful. How are you?
Well, I told you it's always too early in the morning. And I'm wondering why we have mugs with no tea, but it's a good morning.
Well, you know, they don't need any other tea. Tea is here.
And the tea is pink.
Absolutely. So always great to see you. Coming up tomorrow, you have a very interesting discussion that's happening over at the NUPW headquarters. Before we delve into that, though, let's talk a little bit about the work of the NUPW and reinforce how relevant it is even at a time like this.
Well, the work of NUPW will always be relevant. I mean, our public workers will always need defense and agitating for their rights. But today, as you said, I'm coming to talk to you about the panel discussion that's going to be held at the Horatio Cook Auditorium at NUPW.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So let's delve into that.
The topic tomorrow, very interesting, the human and worker rights of the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ plus community. So the intention of this panel discussion is in a series of sensitization sessions. You would remember I came here last time and we were doing voluntarism and collective bargaining. And now we are looking at those fundamental human and workers' rights of the LGBTQ plus community. The intention is to entertain varied perspectives. We want to address, of course, the discrimination and the violence within the LGBTQ plus community. And we expect that issues of homophobia and biphobia and transphobia will come out of this discussion. Now, trade unions have a duty to represent all workers, and that's regardless of their age, their sex, their gender, sexuality, religion, political affiliation, disability. Workers are to be represented by trade unions. So we need to understand the unique issues, especially when it comes to violence and harassment and discrimination of the LGBTQ community, and stand in solidarity with them. So this panel discussion with our panelists, we have George Griffith, who was a former director of Barbados Family Planning, and he's also a sexual and reproductive health advocate and rights as well for over 50 years. So Dr. Mahalia Jackman, she is the head of the economics department at UWI. We have the chief labor officer, and actually we also have the LGBTQ plus rep for the Caribbean for Public Services International, Sister Linda Bogle-Meinzer. So you see, we'll have very much a very wide array of perspectives from across industries on this issue.
And I think rounded, you know, what are some of the areas that you're going to work directly on discussion? I know generally, you know, it's about LGBTQI plus issues.
Yes.
But the truth is, often when we delve into these discussions, it's so vast in terms of the categories of persons that you have to cover within the discussion, that if you don't kind of focus in, it can really kind of get out of hand. So in the context of what might be happening here in Barbados and things we might need to tackle, are those issues going to maybe take center stage initially?
Well, as it is a panel discussion, the panelists will first give their 15-minute presentations with their views, and then we'll open up for an hour of question and answer, where we hope to hone in on the issues very specific to Barbados. Because as you would have said, they're LGBTQIA+. Therefore, you are dealing with it. It's a lot. This is a very wide, broad category. So we have to hone in to see what we in Barbados need to be doing, what we as trade unions need to be doing, what employers should be doing, what are the problems that employees face who are part of that community.
I think the basic underpinning of that will be to also reinforce, as you mentioned, basic human and workers' rights.
Yes.
So speaking to that will be paramount as well.
Yes, because like I said before, trade unions are to represent workers. And no matter what your sexuality is, you are a worker and you deserve to have your rights agitated for by a trade union. You are human. You deserve basic human rights. But especially in the Caribbean, you know, we still have some issues, especially with violence and harassment when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. And we are a country that we have ratified Convention 190, Convention 111 that deal with discrimination, deal with violence and harassment. And if we are saying that we are going to adhere to these international labor standards that we have ratified, then we have to look at the LGBTQ community. Also too, May 17th was the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Transphobia. On May 17th. So after that international observance, we thought that it was very fitting to bring this panel discussion at this time.
All right. How do people get out to be a part of the discussion?
Come to Horatio Cook.
Come to register or?
No, we're open to all employers, open to the public, trade union members. We're just encouraging everybody to come out to NUPW tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the Horatio Cook Auditorium. You can also follow us at C2SAB246 on Instagram because we will be streaming it live as well. So come and join the discussion.
I know C2SAB is the umbrella body for the various trade unions here
for
in Barbados.
nine member organizations.
But and you mentioned that there are a few issues, but overwhelmingly are your members reporting that workers within the community are having challenges with representation or with getting basic workers' rights in the workplaces across Barbados?
I would encourage you to come out to the panel discussion so that more of that would be presented. Of course, we have workers who present issues. To tell you overwhelmingly which sector they're coming from, I can't speak to that at this point. But yes, we do have persons with issues, and not in terms of representation, but in terms of discrimination that is happening. So these are the kinds of things that we will be discussing tomorrow.
All right. And again, a very rounded panel. If we could talk a little bit about the selection and why you thought it was important to bring people from these various areas to weigh in on this discussion.
Well, you would want the perspective from labor, which is why we have the chief labor officer. You want an academic perspective, which is why we have Dr. Mahalia Jackman from UWI. You can't say something is for us, not for us without us. So therefore you have Sister Linda Bogle-Meinzer, who is a member of the community and the LGBTQ rep for the Caribbean. And we have Mr. George Griffith, who, as the former director of the Barbados Family Planning Association and an advocate for sexual health and rights, sexual health and reproductive rights, he would have another perspective as well in terms of the issues that this community will face, the unique issues that the community faces. So,
Tara, what do you hope to come out of this? What do you hope will come out of this discussion?
What I hope to come out of this discussion is that basically we understand that everyone, because I even speak about this with disabilities, everyone should be afforded equality in the workplace. Every person deserves rights. Like I said, irrespective of age, gender, sexuality, irrespective of anything. So I would hope that the general public would understand the discrimination, the violence, the harassment, the issues that this community faces, and that we would understand as a society we should stand in solidarity because they are still workers. Everyone, they're all workers. So we want to stand in solidarity, understand the unique issues, and hope to move forward to agitate for the rights of this community so they have equality in the workplace like anybody else. If you think about it, there was a time that there was gender disparity in the workplace and trade unions fought for that and fought for the rights of women. So we need to stand in solidarity and also fight for the rights of the LGBTQ plus community.
All right, I want to thank you for coming in and sharing with us on this all-important discussion that's coming up tomorrow.
Yes,
at
tomorrow.
The NUPW headquarters.
6:30 p.m. NUPW headquarters. Like I said, also follow us at C2SAB246 on Instagram and join the discussion.
And no registration is necessary?
No registration is necessary. We're just encouraging you to come out and speak on and join the ask questions and join in on this very important and very global topic. Because CITUSAB is an affiliate of Public Services International, and this is part of their global agenda. This is a global topic, and we want you to join in because sometimes people are not aware of some things, your prejudices. So we want people to come out, engage, ask questions, listen to the views of the panelists, and ask your questions.
And I know this can be a very hot button topic when it comes to how Barbadians approach discussion about the LGBTQIA plus
community.
Me, myself, sometimes it's so challenging to navigate many of the changes. Looking at you know, how you're able to truly address people. Sometimes it's not even that you come from a position of wanting to exhibit bias or discriminate, but because there's so much that's changing so quickly. It's difficult sometimes to stay in step with what's happening and whether it's being, you know, respectful of people and how you refer to them. You know, how you treat them, what's available to them. Will all of these things be covered as well? Or are you simply discussing in the context of workers' rights?
Well, we're discussing human and workers' rights. And you see, again, panel discussion. So, Tisha, you should be coming out tomorrow and asking these questions of the panelists, because the questions directed to the panelists also change the direction of what is being communicated. Now, as you just said, it is a very complex issue, a very complex society, and therefore I think that the more education you get out there, the more that people understand, the better it is in order for us to address those issues of discrimination, violence, and harassment.
All right, well, this is going to be a good starter.
Yes.
A good conversation starter, so we look forward to hearing a whole lot more about it. That's coming up tomorrow, as we mentioned, at the NUPW 6:30. And of course, they're saying all are welcome. So get on out and be a part of that all-important conversation. Thank you, Tara. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you.
And I know you love to wake up early in the morning.
She makes me wake up early in the morning.
And come on in and share with us. So best wishes to you.
Thank you for having me. So I hope to see you tomorrow as well.
I definitely will try to make it. I admittedly, you know, it's been kind of difficult for me to stay in step. My young people in my life keep me up to date on the terminology and what's right or what's not. I'm quickly becoming one of the old people in their terms.
You're not.
All right, time for a break here on Morning Barbados. When we come back, an update of the news. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue. All new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's my area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
A golden glory celebrating.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Of the news. To end homelessness, Kimar Safri, a social network agency which will be fully online. He says this database or platform will allow key agencies and stakeholders involved in interventions for the homeless and displaced to readily access pertinent information. Mr. Safri was speaking during a Bridgetown consultation on homelessness under the theme Bigger, Better, Interagency on Homelessness. It was at the Radisson Aquatica.
The vulnerable population is a very small population in Barbados, but they're a repeating population. So you will got somebody, got Mr. Pollard for hamper, got on by welfare for voucher, come up by me for hamper, and it's the same person. And you might be saying you're recording big numbers, but you really recording the same number. But if there's a way of finding that out, you can easily put the information in the system. Mr. Pollard go into the system and see, okay, this person, even if Mr. Pollard now a resilient unit offer housing as a solution, you can see that.
Mr. Safri tells stakeholders in some instances it's difficult to gain access to some offices when information is critical to decision making. He says he built a similar platform about 6 years ago, but it was never used. He adds he supports the database in the form of an app as computers and WhatsApp are readily acceptable for business transactions today. However, he made it clear medical information is not needed, but rather services rendered to an individual, and he notes the platform can be wider.
Here we are in the 21st century now, where you need the technology to move forward in the agencies. That way now the same referral form could be uploaded to that system. You understand? So that way you can find the person. Everything will be ahead of the person. So we need something like that to be able to work together, to be able to build together, to be able to share information together. And so that is something that within the next 3 months, I would like to launch and have all the organizations sign on to it.
The organizers of the annual Cancer Run and Walk are promising an even bigger event this year. The commitment from Walk manager Michelle Strawn, who was speaking on the sidelines of the event Sunday. Walkers, runners, and even some roller skaters, all clad in blue, set off from the garrison Savannah. Ms. Strawn tells CBC News the aim is to continue promoting early detection of prostate cancer.
As we all know, this cause is very dear to men, and we're here to support them. And always remember, early detection is best. You can get a blood test, to start you off, and only if you have a raised PSA level, then you need to do more testing. So we want to say thank you again to all of the sponsors for supporting us this year. And we're looking forward to next year where we will have a bigger and better walk. Next year we have some changes that we will let you know about, but we are looking forward to having a much bigger event next year.
Cricketing legend Sir Gordon Greenidge is also calling on men to get tested.
I am a survivor, and I would like to pass the word on to all of you men, all of our men in Barbados, as the word says, and as this t-shirt says, the dads, the brothers, the sons, the friends, please get tested. It's not as drastic, the testing, as people may think, and it'll probably save your life.
Government is committed to amplifying the excellence of youth in Barbados by spearheading programs to reward their positive efforts. This from Minister of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, Charles Griffith. As he spoke during the National Youth Awards ceremony at the Frank Cullinan Hall, where 119 young people in various categories were rewarded for their works in excellence. There, the youth showcased their skills in singing, music, and spoken word. In addition to the celebration of excellence, there were also a number of special acknowledgement awards. Among the specially mentioned awardees for their resilience and courage was bilateral amputee Roshante Parsons. Minister Griffith says far too often people like to stay on the sidelines and criticize and not get involved in highlighting the contributions of young people, many of whom are crying out for our support.
See our young people. I spoke recently about bystanders effect because we like to take out a video, a camera, and take pictures without intervening. We cannot, as a people, move our young people forward if we do not get involved in the process. 119 youngsters were nominated. I'm asking you to double that next year. See our young people, because this is the vehicle that the government, through my ministry, is using to propel them forward.
Now, international author and professional motivational speaker Kristen Graves encouraged the young awardees to dare to dream bigger, get better, and strive to go further in life.
The gifts and the abilities that have been given to every single one of you in here were not just given to you for your sake. They were given to you so that you can be of service to another individual. Never forget that. You see, I want you all to always remember these words by a gentleman, a wise gentleman by the name of Dr. Rick Grisby, who said, the problem isn't if you aim high and you miss. The problem is if you aim too low and you hit. I'm going to say that one more time. The problem isn't if you aim high and you miss. The problem is if you aim too low and you hit.
Strengthening the regional integration movement is one way to address the challenges to growth experienced by small and medium-sized enterprises. The suggestion from Assistant General Secretary, United Nations Global Compact, Sandra Ojiambo. She was speaking to CBC as major initiatives were launched during the Global Supply Chain Forum held in Barbados last week. Crystal Hoyt tells us more.
The UN Global Compact Caribbean Network has officially launched, with a priority on sustainable businesses in the region. Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Global Compact, Sandra Ojiambo, says it's critical now more than ever, and explained why.
We believe that bringing together the private sector across all of the Eastern Caribbean will do a couple of key things. One, it'll advocate for their voice and their needs. There's a lot going on here about climate resilience, about access to finance, about supporting SMEs, about resiliency, and we think that's absolutely important. But also, I think, a platform for business leaders and CEOs to talk about sustainability challenges and to progress.
Ms. Ojiembo also launched the Sustainable and Supply Chain Program, recognizing the important role small and medium-sized enterprises play in development.
You know, SMEs are so critical to the global economy. They create about 80% of the world's business. They employ 60% of all employees, but yet they're most vulnerable. And we saw that. We saw that in the pandemic. We see that every time there's a climate crisis, women and youth get forced out of businesses and can't maintain themselves, their jobs and their incomes. It's important for us to try and support efforts to build resiliency, create access to markets, create access to finance, and create a foundation for SMEs to be able to better weather all of the challenges that exist at the moment.
The Assistant Secretary General says perhaps one of the solutions to SME challenges as it relates to scaling is regional integration.
To allow us to really reap the benefits of the market that exists in CARICOM. So there's been a lot of talk about the opportunities for integration, for regulatory coherence, for looking at currency issues across CARICOM region, building a market that can really serve the domestic capabilities.
Over 32 countries are already members of the UN Global Compact Caribbean Network, and more are expected to join. Crystal.
Thanks, Crystal. In sports, Barbadian triathlete Matthew Wright has met the qualification requirement for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Wright finished 41st overall in the final qualification race in Calgary, Italy, which earned enough points to make the cut. He tells CBC Sports that it has been a long and hard journey.
It just means the world, you know, it's a lifelong dream and focus of, going to the Olympics. And it's, when you were younger, it felt like something so far away, you know. But now I'm finally doing it, and probably a lot later than initially I thought I would be able to. You know, I'm now 32 years old and a few more gray hairs than expected. But I think it's a big story of like perseverance, of down but never out. You know, so many setbacks throughout my career, so many injuries, you know, broken bones, a lot of, in inverted commas, bad luck, you know, definitely throughout my 20s. But, you know, I stood the test of time. I persevered. Whenever things weren't working, I went and found the answers. And I think, we finally get in there, and to culminate with an Olympic qualification is beyond my wildest dreams. And so many times I was ready to give up the sport, and fortunately have amazing people around me.
Wright will now be based in Cardiff in the UK for the next 8 weeks ahead of the Games.
I have everything there, a great training squad, my physio, obviously my coaches, and it's a great place to train, so we're just going to stay there. Obviously with Paris being in Europe as well, why travel when I'm only 2 hours away? So going to stay here, train for the next 8 weeks, potentially do one more race, not decided on what that will be yet. You know, my dream would be a top 20 ambitions, for sure. I think if I execute the race I'm capable of, that's definitely within my grasp. But it is also the Olympics, and everyone's going to come with their A game, so I'm going to have to bring my A-star game, and I know I'm going to be there to compete, hopefully be at the front and fly that Barbados flag very high and proud.
Congratulations. We know you wanted that very much. Well, that's this morning's update of news. We have another update coming your way, Newsday. That's at 12 noon here on TV8. Then we have The World at 1 on our sister network of stations, 100.7 QFM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM. That comes at 1 p.m. More is to come on Morning Barbados, so stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's not early you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I have. Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Barbados. Having a little discussion behind the scenes with Michael Warrior Bonds, who is a spoken word artist, award-winning poet, educator, motivational speaker, and author of Roxbury, Boston. And he's going to be performing at a celebration of spoken word coming up on Thursday, May 30th at 8 o'clock for poetry. Good morning. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Good. Great to be here.
All right, so he was just asking me if I'd ever been to Boston.
Yes, yes.
That would be an absolute yes.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
Yes, my very early years, many of my early years were spent in Boston. One of my sisters lived there for a long, long time. So I've enjoyed many, many years in Boston, visiting and otherwise. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're familiar with my town.
All right, good stuff. So tell me a little bit about you as a spoken word artist, award-winning poet and motivational speaker.
Sure. I've been performing and writing for about 25 years. I found it at a time when I was not at my best, and discovered that I could put some words together, and I had this ability to make others happy with the way I was sounding, the way I was making words, and then I started studying poetry. I started studying the likes of Langston Hughes and Maya and Gwendolyn Brooks and the beat poets and the Black arts movement and artists and such as Mary Baraka and so on and so forth. And then I started, designing and creating different metaphors and similes and things of that nature that, just resonated with people. And then it just blossomed from there. I tried to write a book a couple of times, asked people to teach me how to publish books, and no one would do it, so I figured it out myself. I figured out how to self-publish myself.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of this started when you were not at your best.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that and how this maybe became an outlet for you to be able to engage in a level of self-therapy, if you can call it that.
Absolutely. It is no secret, and it's part of my motivational speech and part of my own growth and development. When I was younger, I was like criminally active. I was a part of a whole bunch of negative things that, right now I teach young men, I build young men, and I do motivational speeches, and I do mentorship programs with young men right now, and that whole thing. I'd gone to prison, and inside a cell, I literally found a book by Langston Hughes, The Panther and the Lash, on a book cart. And I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it more. And each of my first poems, I tried to craft the same way he crafted them. And then the only way I memorized them, I memorized my poems because they would come into my cell sometimes, and they would shake down the cell and tear up all your stuff, disrupt your life. And so I tried to commit all my poems to memory for that reason, because I wanted to remember them if they threw them away. And I began to memorize these poems. So I knew nothing about spoken word outside of a jail cell, nothing about it at all. And after a while, I'm at a door, and I'm having people next door to me asking me to stand up at the door and, spit that poem. We ain't going nowhere anyways. We're not going nowhere anyways. And so I was actually, they were my first audience. And when I came home, I found a group called the Blackout Arts Collective. It was a writing collective group of black and brown people who decided, they wanted to get together. Some of them were Harvard graduates or students, and some of them were Northeastern students, college students from different walks of life. And they invited me in, and my journey began. I began traveling the country performing at colleges, youth organizations, nonprofit organizations, jails, and so on and so forth. And it began my journey as a spoken word activist.
And you've been traveling the world, like you said. What are some of the most impactful presentations, would you say, that you've made, or places that have stayed with you throughout the years with these presentations, sharing about your life and how poetry, in essence,
As a matter of fact,
turned you around?
there were several. Harvard University was my first. Harvard University is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is just a one bus ride away from my town, which is Roxbury. So it's like the #1 bus, literally. It's called the #1 bus from Dudley Station, which is now Nubian Square. They changed the name. From Nubian Square all the way up to Cambridge, which is Harvard. And I guess some Harvard law students, black Harvard law students, saw me at a spoken word performance and asked me to perform at Harvard. Had no idea that they wanted me to come there and be paid to do it. And I performed there, and after I was finished, they handed me a check for $1,500. I was like, I didn't expect to. I just wanted to perform, but I performed there. I performed at several prisons for other individuals. It was kind of like life-changing. It was a full circle to come back to a place that I had been to, and perform for others. And now I motivate young men who are gang members or transitioning their lives or coming out of the streets. So it's been a journey.
And you're not only motivating others in that way, you also host an open mic session as well. Tell us more about that.
Well, I've done several. Thank you for asking. I've done several. Right now, in Stoughton, Massachusetts, it's a suburb of Boston. I host an open mic called Just Spit. And Just Spit is not just an open mic, it's a concept for unapologetic speakers. Just Spit means basically, if you have something to say, just spit it. Just say it. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the best at it. Just say what you have to say without an apology. Just say it.
How do you think this form of expression reaches the people whom you are seeking to share with in a way that might be different from, say, music or other forms of expression?
Because, poetry for me saved my life. It was my therapy. It doesn't have to be in any format, doesn't have to be grammatically correct. You can just say what you have to say when you have to say it. No one can judge you. You know, so if you have something on your mind, I encourage a lot of my young men to just say it. And believe it or not, a lot of them are writing things down and holding on to all this, this pressure and these experiences. And then once I get them to begin to speak about what's going on in their heads, it's a release.
You mentioned earlier that you're self-published.
Yes.
And you're the author of 2 books of poems, Guns, Poems, and Roses.
Yes.
And The Right.
Yes. Guns, Poems, and Roses was my first take at publishing. 2005, I just put everything that I had at that time inside a manuscript and said, listen, I'm going to publish it, and it came out. And then in 2012, after studying poetry for quite some time, different metaphors and similes, different styles, villanelles and tankers and so on and so forth, and learning more about poetry as opposed to just putting words together, I wrote The Right, which is R-I-T-E, and I published that. Currently, I'm in the process of developing other manuscripts to write, to publish myself.
All right, and then of course I saw here that you wrote a book called Roxbury.
Roxbury?
Or is it just that you're from Roxbury?
I'm from Roxbury.
Okay.
Roxbury is a borough of Boston.
Yeah, I know. Roxbury is a very interesting neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a very interesting neighborhood.
We see, a lot of, as you mentioned, black and brown people. How did your upbringing in that particular part of Boston influence who you are and where you are today?
Had a big influence. I had a big influence on where I came from. I grew up, and as you know, Roxbury can be quite rough. And growing up, youngest of 7, I had my share of trials and tribulations, and that's a part of my story. Roxbury will always be a part of my story. Boston will be a part of my story, and so that's pretty much it.
Let's look back at where you came from, that initial reading of a Langston Hughes book,
Mhm.
to where you wrote something of your own, compared to where you are now
Mhm.
and the types of poems that you prepare now. What has that transition been like?
The transition from where I came from and to now has been, it's just been a journey. In the beginning, I started writing about my experience as just being a boy from the hood, so to speak, quote unquote, and the experience of, being amongst those who were criminally active, and then I started developing into this revolutionary, talking about revolutionary acts and being a part of like community activism and social justice. And now my poetry has expanded into several different things. I write about love, I write about God, I write about my mom, I write about, it's just evolved. My thinking, my writing, my development it's just the evolution of me in general. I think I might make that the title of my next
All
book.
right, and what brings you to Barbados? I know you're going to be performing this week,
Right.
but talk about that Barbadian connection.
Well, I'm actually on vacation, and I reached out to Lashana from Poetry, and I said, listen, I'm coming. I would love to be a part of Poetry Barbados, and after discussion back and forth via email and so on and so forth, she said, yeah, we would love to have you. But at the same time, I'm actually seeing a good friend of mine that I hadn't seen for 40 years. We grew up together. A friend of mine, we grew up together in Boston, in Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan. And he came home about 40 years, and I hadn't seen him. We communicate via Facebook. So he and his family are looking out for us right now. My brother Ricky Nurse and his wife Shelly are looking out for us right now. And I'm having a great reunion. I'm having a great vacation, and I get to do poetry, which is what I love.
That's
at the same
beautiful.
time.
So what can we expect when you show up this week to perform as a guest at Poetry?
I'm doing 2 poems. One I dedicated to my mom. I took care of my mom for 4 years until she transitioned and became my guardian angel. And I have another poem called Fake Revolutionaries, but I think I may do something else that's more appropriate for that event.
All right, good stuff. Well, it's good to speak with you. I too have a friend who loves to talk about his life in Boston, so he'd be very intrigued in watching this particular interview. I've spent a lot of time in Milton, which is just outside of
Right.
Mattapan and just in that general region as well. So wonderful to have you here, and a special good morning to Ricky Nurse. Yeah, popular name around the place.
Oh, you know Ricky.
Of course. Yeah, so before you go, I mean, it would be remiss of me not to have you share something with us.
Nope.
Whatever you feel hits the spirit to share with the Morning Barbados audience.
This is dedicated to my mom. I met God. In the beginning of my time, when my morning shined after the evening of a womb, I met God. Vanilla bean complexion, eyes the shade of melanin, arms a home sweet homecoming when they blanketed me. Hands were my very first impression of gentle. See, these were the tools of a master multitasker, and they beheld me as if I were a savior. And I loved God. Then, now, and before we met. Before my first taste of oxygen, before umbilical cord disassembly, before the evening preceding the morning of my arrival was a labor of love, I met her. And she loved me. I felt evidence of this daily. From my first breath up and into her last exhale, I never felt a void for affection, even now as she peacefully rests, my mother. Ursel, Ellen, Bonds, she was. She is God to me. Assalamu alaikum. Hallelujah. Baruch atah Adonai, I am her apostle. She was my gospel, holy scripture, chapter and verse. I am her revelation. While in trimesters she authored my Genesis. And all the days of my life she preached to me sermons on the mount of her wisdom. Up until her exodus she sang me her psalms, prophesied my coming of age, the litigations and all those tribulations. And she spoke to me of my inevitable successes as if she walked this way before. She told me to educate myself, remain steadfast, informed, independent, and strong. She said, don't nothing grow. Don't nothing grow without water, baby. So don't you ever be afraid to weather these storms. And I believed her. Then I believe her. Now I needed her. Then I need her right now. You should have seen her. As I did. She had vanilla bean complexion. Her eyes were the shade of melanin. Her arms were home sweet homecoming when they blanketed me. Her hands were my very first impression of gentle. See, she was a master multitasker, and she beheld me as if I was her savior. Peace.
Quite beautiful. Very beautiful ode to your mother.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
And you can see more of this coming up. He's going to be performing with the team from Poetry. That's right, Michael Warrior Bonds, spoken word artist and educator, motivational speaker here in Barbados on vacation. And he decided that he wanted to share the stage. It's called A Celebration of Spoken Word. It's coming up Thursday at 8 o'clock. So make sure you head on out and enjoy and continue to enjoy your time here in Barbados. I'm sure you got out to the beach. Have you been able to do
Yes, I have.
any extracurricular activities?
I got out to the beach a couple of times, and I'm loving it. The food is great. I'm having a great time, and I still got days left, so I'm enjoying myself right now.
All right, good stuff. Okay, it's time for another break here on Morning Barbados, so stay with us. More's coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308, and don't miss a single six, wicket, or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:32. The time just goes by so quickly. Sometimes I don't even know where it just goes. It goes. So good morning to those of you who have a little time off. Lucky you. I know lots of Barbadians are kind of getting back to the staycation. So a big shout out to all of the hotels and, Airbnbs and restaurants and so on. Try to focus a little bit on the service for some of us. I know sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge, particularly when you are in these public-facing jobs where you kind of have to engage with members of the public. Sometimes we're not as good as we need to be, but you need to hold your composure, all right? I experienced some stuff that I'll share with you on another show, on another day. But service, we need a little revamp in Barbados sometimes. All right? Okay, so something big that's happening in Barbados and that all ties into the service we offer and where we're going is cricket, lovely cricket. It definitely is coming to the island, and we're going to make sure that we're on top of things in terms of sharing with you what's happening with the games, not only happening in the US, but across the region, and then preparing you for what you can expect here in Barbados. Anmar Goodrich Boyce is in our sports department. He's a sports journalist, and he's joining us now by remote. I don't know who gave you permission, Anmar, to be, joining us remotely, because you should be in studio, fella. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Tish, and good morning to all of our listeners and viewers on Mornin Barbados. It's a pleasure. I'm actually a bit under the weather, so I've opted to join from Zoom rather than the studio. It's a pleasure. I know you miss me.
Yeah, so you get off for that reason. So you're going to be hosting Final Over, something we're preparing to share more about the upcoming cricket across the region, the US and here in Barbados. Tell us more about the program.
Yes, please. You're absolutely correct. Of course, we're 4 days away from the start of the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. And what we have done here in the CBC Sports Department, of course, headed by Mark Seal and producer Melissa Farley, we've conceptualized a show where we want to get Barbadians involved, joining the debate around the cricket. So it's a situation where we will be showing highlights, having experts analysis, and more or less giving Barbadians a platform to feel like they're a part of such a momentous occasion and a big tournament like this.
Who are some of the guests that we can expect to be on the program as we look back at the various games and look forward to which teams are going to make it to the end of the tournament?
Yeah, so we have quite a few guests lined up to join us. The likes of Nikhil Uttam Chandani, he is an international cricket commentator. Roland Butcher, who is the first black man to play Test cricket for England, and other notable cricket journalists and analysts such as Wayne Holder. So we have lots of people who will be joining every night from 8:05, and the discussion promises to be great, really.
So it gets started at the end of the month, May 31st, as you mentioned, and it's on practically every single night at 8:05 p.m. So I'm sure you are prepping yourself, getting ready for the long haul for this, So you can't move forward without telling us some of your faves. What are you looking forward to most with the tournament?
Yeah, most definitely the fact that the finals will be held here in Barbados. We've hosted 2 finals previously in 2007 and 2010. So it's really great that, Barbados has been highlighted and recognized as, such a tremendous facility and a tremendous country to host the final. So I'm definitely looking forward to being at the World Cup final. Definitely looking forward to seeing the Super 8 matches, which will be played here in Barbados at Kensington Oval. 8 matches and then the final. And of course, the West Indies. How can we not talk about the West Indies in the World Cup?
How do you feel about the fact that Jason is out, Jason Holder?
Yeah, it's a massive blow for the West Indies at such a late stage of the tournament. I personally believe that Jason Holder is, a very important player to the West Indies team. He's an all-rounder. He can bat and bowl. And, he presents, a different element and a different dynamic to the West Indies team. So I know that the head coach, Darren Sammy, and the lead selector, the most honorable Desmond Haynes, they'll be sad really that, Jason Holder had to be ruled out of the tournament due to injury. Nevertheless, he is replaced by Obed McCoy, who's he had a very good tournament season, series, I beg your pardon. The last series we played against South Africa, so it is a good replacement for Jason Holder and Obed McCoy. But Jason Holder, the Barbadian all-rounder, definitely will be missed.
Now, this is a massive platform for you, Anmar, as a young man here on the CBC and sharing in this way.
There must be some nerves, but I think that, you know, you're made of the type of metal that will get you through. So we're looking forward to really engaging with you and all of your guests on what's happening with this particular tournament. What do you feel it will do for cricket across the region to stage this tournament here at this time?
Yeah, well, it is massive, not only for Barbados, but for around the region. We do know the economic impact of a World Cup. We hear the National Organizing Committee speaking about getting Barbadians involved, speaking to the numbers in terms of tourists who will be traveling. I think it's a situation where Barbadians will be able to, you know, reap benefits from this World Cup. There will be a lot of business. Taxi men will be involved. People who own restaurants, as well as small business people, entrepreneurs will be able to make an extra dollar. So I think the World Cup will do so well for the recovery of the Barbados economy, especially coming on the back of COVID.
All right, good stuff. Have you had an opportunity to go down to Kensington Oval and check out all that's happening there?
Most definitely, Tish, and I must say kudos to, you know, the Kensington Oval Management Inc. in terms of ensuring that Kensington Oval is ready for the World Cup. I had a look last week, and the conditions are pristine. It looks immaculate. I told some of my colleagues in the newsroom last week that I just want to make my bed and lay down on the pitch at Kensington Oval. The greens, it looks like a golf course, really. I'm definitely impressed with the upgrades, new lightings, extra stands, and it's just a world-class facility. So kudos to, you know, all those who were involved in the upgrades of Kensington Oval. As we can see here on this screen, it looks fantastic. I just can't wait.
Absolutely. We were there yesterday. We're preparing for a town hall meeting and the launch of some open guided tours for members of the public starting at 1:30 tomorrow. The guided tours, they're open to the public. So that's 1:30. You can go on through, get guided tours with people from Comey. And then around 5 o'clock, the Prime Minister, Mia Motley, she's expected to have a town hall meeting. We're going to be carrying it on TV8. It will also be streaming on the Prime Minister's office YouTube page, on CBC, on GIS as well. So just on the side for people to be able to tune in. But it definitely surprised me yesterday. I know we heard a lot about the renovations, but I did not know there was so much going on, especially the grandstand. The grandstand is what you're saying to the left of your screen. This is my video, guys, so make sure that you don't play the audio, all right? But we definitely had a really great time looking at it. We got an opportunity to see them getting the greens ready, getting the field ready. You know, a lot of prep work being done by DP Productions. Have to say a special good morning to Damien Gaskin and his team at the Kensington Oval. Definitely doing fantastic works. Everything from refurbished bathroom facilities to new lighting structures. So there's lots to look forward to, and lots to look forward to as well with the final over program that you're going to be presenting. What are you looking forward to most with this particular program?
Well, most definitely the opportunity to engage Barbadians. There will be a couple of segments where we'll have, you know, Barbadians being able to call in and give their views. You know, Barbados is a cricket crazy nation, really. We do have a lot of legends, the likes of Sir Garfield Sobers, Gerald Garner, Gordon Greenidge, Desmond Haynes. So, you know, Barbadians get very excited about cricket and very passionate. So I'm definitely looking forward to some of the views and the opinions of Barbadians calling in and talking about this World Cup. And of course, the West Indies. And I must say, Tish, that I believe personally that the West Indies will win this World Cup.
All right. I'm a West Indies supporter. And, you know, not a fair weather friend. We have a lot of fair weather friends when it comes to West Indies. You know, they knock the fellas. I know that a lot of people talk about nutrition and They say the fellas are looking for money. They're not necessarily committed. But what I know is these guys go out there and they do their best. They try their hardest. They really want to bring it home for the region. And I don't have anything that says anything different at this point. So I definitely am supporting the West Indies as well. Have you always been a big sports fan, Anmar?
Yes, please. From the time I was about 5 or 6, really, I was very involved in sports. My dad lives in England, so whenever I go to England, I would go and watch some English Premier League games. Very involved with cricket. I did play at the Herman Griffith Primary School's cricket competition. I wasn't really a good player, but I know that I had to get involved in cricket and the sport some form or fashion.
Not primary school cricket, Amar, certainly. But congratulations on that. I love it. And I'm told that you also back 4 football teams. How is that even possible?
Two football teams.
Okay, so you back
Manchester United. So I just want to say,
they said
congratulations
4,
to Manchester United winning the FA Cup, and my other team is Crystal Palace.
Yeah, so Royal is saying you back poor teams, not 4, poor teams. Yeah?
Yeah, I think Royal is a bit jealous, unfortunately.
Yeah, what team does he back?
I think he backs Real Madrid.
Yeah, but Man City's on top for the last four tournaments, isn't it? So I guess he can be deemed as poor as well.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Well, it's good to talk to you, but it's all about cricket. It's a review analysis show of the World Cup, and we most certainly look forward to you and all the guests that you will be bringing to the TV8 screen every single night from this Friday. And whenever there's a game, you can look out for Anmar on for the Final Over program from producer Melissa Farley and presented here on CBC TV8. So congratulations on that move, and we look forward to seeing and hearing more from you as relates to Cricket World Cup T20 Men's Championships 2024.
Thank you so much, Steve.
All right, and feel better too.
Thank you.
Yeah, he absolutely does not look himself. But I'm hoping that you can still get to work. I'm kidding. Yeah, just take the time you need to get better. All right, time for another break. When we come back, we're sharing more with you. It was a very interesting discussion we had a few weeks ago with the Firefighters Network. They were here to talk about some initiatives that they had going on, but they also shared some really great tips with us that we'd like to remind you of. So stay tuned.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stock Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you...
Hi Barbadians, World Cup T20 is here with us, and our Kensington Oval, the Mecca, is ready. I'm going there on Wednesday at 5 p.m., but the doors are open from 1:30 p.m. for guided tours. I invite you to come and be part of it. come and take a selfie. Take a selfie at the Mecca with your friends. Take a selfie just to be able to have it for history. We're so proud of what we've been able to do to bring it back up to welcome the world. I'm going to be there along with other members of the cabinet and indeed maybe even some cricket legends who are already telling us how great Kensington looks. Let's sit down and talk and see how we can prepare to welcome the world here and how we can continue always to do things better, because that is the Bajan way. Take care and God bless you all. See you on Wednesday.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now we have the Bajan Firefighters Network joining us now. Whitfield Harris is the public safety advocate with them, and Jason Collins is the public safety advocate with them as well. So both same title sharing with us today, and they came through with their shirts. Didn't bring any for me, so I'm going to have to trust your judgment as an honorary member. So good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning, welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right, great to have both of you with us.
Thank
you. Jason, talk to me a little bit about the network.
Yes, the Bajan Firefighters Network started in 2001. It started as a firefighters online platform, and then it evolved after in 2015, January 7th, 2015, it became a registered charity number 1133. So and here we are until now. We basically do a lot of outreach and helping in humanitarian services with persons, especially in the public, as it relates to public safety.
That's excellent. I know both of you are former members of the Fire Prevention and Code Enforcement Unit of the Barbados Fire Service. What does that mean in real terms?
So, well, basically, in terms of the charity, it just helps us to give persons good sound advice on things to do and not what to do.
All right, so what are some of these things that people should and should not do? I know we're talking about the charity, but I think it's important to kind of classify what we're talking about once we preface it with the fact that you guys have all of this knowledge and expertise.
Well, it's funny you've gone there, you kind of jumped the gun, so to speak, but no problem. Basically, that comes under some of our tips as well that we would like to offer, share with you this morning. Stuff like, well, obviously we are approaching the what we call the dry time, or the crop season, as we call it in the department. And you know, there are certain things, you know, a lot of grass fires and bush fires and so forth are usually the order of the day, and we would like to advise people things like simple things, not throwing out cigarette butts while you're driving, that kind of stuff. Things like keeping your surroundings clean, keeping the grass around you as low as possible, because oftentimes when people hear fire safety, people think something elaborate. Basic housekeeping, we always say good housekeeping practices are very important in terms of your safety.
So one of the other things that I can add to that is if you live in an area where it has a nice open field or what we call bush around, we would suggest that you clear about 30 feet or so away from your property. Despite it might not be your property, clear away, because when the fire comes and that area is low, it dies down. You don't have to worry about your property being threatened with the fire. But if you left the bush and let it grow, well, then you're looking at issues.
All right, absolutely. Let's talk about how people can become a part of the network. Must you have been or must you be a part of firefighting or have been a firefighter to be
anyone
a member?
Join. Just go on the website for the charity and sign up to be a volunteer.
Right, and that website is www.bajanfirefighters.org. I'll repeat it, www.bajanfirefighters.org. That is the website you can go on and you can register to be a part of the charity. The only prerequisite, if there's any, if you may call it that, would be that person should be
willing to
give up their time. Give up their time, basically. That's about it.
All right. I know that you said you do a lot of charity work through the charity. So talk to me about some of the initiatives that you engage in as the Barbados Firefighters Network. Tell me a little bit about.
So one of them that we've done in the past is that basically we had collected, did a food bank where we collected items and stuff to give to persons. So we did that one. Then also there's some others that we go into the community and we would do surveys in terms of see what persons' need assessments are, in terms of what will happen in case of a fire or anything like that.
Additionally, we also do smoke alarm installations for vulnerable or elderly persons living alone and that kind of stuff. And that's an ongoing project.
Yeah, talk to me about, what it means to be able to kind of continue your work, because this is kind of like an extension of what firefighters are able to do. Usually if you see firefighters, something has happened. So to be able to kind of get ahead of that and, engage with the public about ways that they can kind of mitigate any challenges or the extent to which they experience fallout from damage or fire or any other, eventualities that put them in a bad position, says a great deal. I would imagine it must be quite rewarding as well.
Yeah, well, you started by saying usually when you see a firefighter, something has gone wrong. And that's a narrative that over the years we've been trying to change. Instead of always responding, we try to also give out tips and do a lot of preventative measures as well, because that is just as important as, responding when something happens. Things will happen, but the more we keep putting information out there, feeding the public with information for their own safety, I think the closer we are to mitigating as many emergencies as you would have on a normal basis.
All
so
right,
it's an ongoing.
That's good stuff. What drove you to want to be a part of this? Because there must have been something that came up that struck you in the right way about wanting to be a part of the charity in this way.
Well, from the inception back in 2001 when we heard about, we forming this group. And because basically it was looking at exchanging shirts and badges with other fire departments from across the world and stuff, because what happens sometimes is that guys come from different countries and they come and they want to get a shirt and so forth. So after that, and then when we had certain persons that would have experienced house fires, and we tried to, we felt the need to do something for them. And basically that's how the group got going. So most persons want to be a part of the giving back.
All right, good stuff. What's in the pipeline? No pun intended, Mr. Firefighter.
Well, you said what is in the pipeline? Our food drive, our annual food drive has started on the 25th of January and it will run till the 31st of December. And this food drive is generally to help persons, who would have probably been fire victims and so forth. Persons who are desirous of participating in the food drive can contact us at 833-8184, 833-8184, or you can email info@bajanfirefighters.org. I'll repeat the email again. Email address info@bajanfirefighters.org for those persons who are interested in making donations to the annual food drive. And the donations, provisions are made to make drop-offs at any of the fire stations, and the fire stations I see in front of me here in my notes are the St. John Fire Station, Worthing Fire Station, Bridgetown Fire Station, and Archall Fire Station. What we would ask is that you contact one of these mediums, whether it be the number or the email, before you make those drop-offs, though, if you're going to make a contribution, so that we know before you get there that there's someone there to receive the stuff when you come to make those donations.
All right, so those tips you shared with me, though, I want to commend all of you and your entire team on the work that you're doing, across the island, sharing and engaging with regular Barbadians. So we're going to double back to the tips, since you thought I jumped the gun, because I figured it was your interview. So, but
fair enough.
Boy, tell me I jumped the gun. So let's go back and go in that direction, and talk a little bit more about the tips. One thing that stuck with me is throwing the cigarettes butts through the window. Yeah. So it's been found that that's one of the ways that people are igniting grass.
Well, what we will say is that is one of the reasons. That's one of the things that is very possible. It's highly possible. Obviously, we're not there when a fire starts, so we most of the time might not be able to ascertain that was the reason for it, because at this time we have a lot of bushfires.
Yes.
But obviously, because we have so much of them, that is just one of the things that we would advise the public not to, engage in, because we do random things without understanding the consequences that they can have.
And the next thing you said was cut your grass, man.
Yes.
That is.
Yes.
Yes. You need to cut the grass very low as possible. So once you do that, the chances of a fire spread is reduced significantly.
All right.
Especially for those, there are areas that the public know every year will burn.
All right, so, just remember those tips. Certainly tips that I did not think about. Throwing the bucks through the window and stuff like that. Make sure that you tell the people who drive with you that they really shouldn't throw the bucks through the window. All right? Make sure you have somewhere to put it and then dispose of it when you get to another space. That's it. Before we go, the National Council on Substance Abuse, the NCSA, is pleased to announce an upcoming panel discussion titled The Grassroots of Medicinal and Recreational Cannabis. This insightful event is scheduled for May 30th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. at the Chesterfield Brewster Empowerment Center located in Silver Hill in Christchurch. So get on out and be a part of that. It's a very interesting panelist we'll be sharing during that time. Coming up tomorrow, we're talking HR with the Human Resources Management Association of Barbados. We're also going to be looking forward to hurricane awareness as we get ready for the official start of the hurricane season, the 1st of June. And we're going to be talking a whole lot more that you won't want to miss. Hey, have a wonderful day today, and be sure to come on back tomorrow for another episode of Morning Barbados. See you.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.